You stumbled into a show. It's called Binge-Watchers Podcast, which means it might be a podcast. Who knows? I'm Johnny Spoiler. I tend to spoil the movies I love on the show, and Jordan has to suffer for it. Joined as always by the savage scream queen herself, Jordan Savage, as we ramble down the road on a side quest. We're doing fantasy movie vibes a little bit earlier this year. Why not? And to kick it off, we're going to talk about Red Sonja. That's coming next, right after these. Well, I thought I had it like so together to be that smooth that there was no gaps, but maybe not. Anyway, you'll hear the girl in a second. She's going to tell you to crack something open and pour something cold on ice so we can kick this off as soon as I find what I'm looking for. Jordan's like, hurry it up. I got places.
Roll the tape, Johnny boy.
You're like,
I'm kidding.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Big man Arnold, the Governor, the ex-Terminator. I don't think he's going to appear in another Terminator. But anyway, the most famous Arnold on the planet actually is in recovery because he got a pacemaker put in? What? Question mark? And then what even blows my mind beyond that, I did not know that he started Arnold's Pump Club podcast. But he recently shared, I guess, that he got a pacemaker implanted. And dang. Because that's Conan the Barbarian himself. You know? I didn't know he was suffering from a freaking... Well, I mean, he's had a lot of heart-related conditions, but I don't know. What, he had knee surgery a few years ago with Sly Stallone. They did like a photo op. I think they were doing a prison movie together or something. They did like a photo op. Look, we're getting our knees done at the same time. Anyway, popped in a pacemaker anyway. Yeah, man, mortality catches up to everyone. He was talking about wrestling death on like one of the late night shows. What was it? Colbert Report or whatever. And he was talking to Colbert about how he hopes to wrestle death. Like, I guess from Arnold's perspective, he doesn't even consider death a thing. He doesn't like death. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if death can beat Conan or Conan will beat death. We'll find out. But it's crazy to think that he's as mortal as the rest of us. What do you think, Jordan? The idea that I didn't even know Arnie had a heart problem. I know he had I was talking a few seconds ago about knee surgery that I heard he had. Because did you ever see the photo op with him and Sly Stallone? They got like their knees operated on at the same time. Anyway, look, all these guys are breaking down. They're like immortal legends from the 80s, but you know, time is catching up to everyone.
Absolutely.
I don't know what to say. And Arnold's next thing is to conquer death. I mean, he was joking about it, but anyway, this is not Arnold's heart situation podcast. We're gonna move on. Okay. Oh, but much love. I should probably say I'm an Arnold fan, and like not to discourage his health problems or anything. But anyway, rumors are swirling that there will be a new Popeye live action movie. Last time they did a live action Popeye was like in 1980. Robin Williams was Popeye. There's actually an actor in tonight's movie of the week. Plays a character called Falcon. His name is like Paul J. Smith. He played Bluto in the original Popeye live action movie. The thing is, I mean, everybody knows. Is Popeye still famous enough for everybody to know who Popeye is?
I would hope so. I mean, I'd never seen the live action movie, but like that was such an icon when I was growing up, you know?
Yeah, the black and white cartoons are from like the 30s, but they played on repeat for at least the next 40 years. Right. And then YouTube at one point tried to do like a redo cartoon. And there was like modern Popeye in the early 2000s, I want to say, like another cartoon. But I mean, it's like ingrained in the pop culture. It has to be, right? Like,
I hope
like,
so.
How could Popeye can't die?
Let me take a poll tomorrow at work.
just
A
like, do
little
you know
tell
who
you.
Popeye is? And they're like,
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary says Popeye is when you squirt semen into a girl's left
Oh my
nostril
God.
at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I don't know
Oh,
if that's really the Urban Dictionary version. I'm making that up, but I could imagine that, the Urban Dictionary might have a different definition of what a Popeye is. Jordan
especially
will
with
find
the
out at work.
youth.
It'll be real fascinating to see what people come back with.
Yeah, I'll give you a poll. We'll
Yeah.
update you next week. So,
Adam Sandler says he's going to do Happy Gilmore 2. The sequel script is supposed to be getting worked on. Did you see Happy Gilmore?
yes, I did.
He's like, what is he in that? He's like he's a hockey fan, right? That ends up playing golf. I think that's how it goes. Yeah.
I was what I also always think about with Happy Gilmore is the alligator, the gator.
Oh
who-
yeah, I just like everybody likes the villain character, Shooter McGavin.
Yep, Shooter
Yeah,
McGavin.
who's like supposed to be like kind of like a more stuck up like trust fund yacht club golfer, pro golfer who like can't stand it. Like Happy Gilmore introduced like the underdog version, like rock and roll,
The gator I always like.
Oh, because
and bring
Chubbs
up.
Peterson. There's another golf pro
Yeah,
that
loses his
helps
hand.
Adam Sandler's character learn how to be more like a pro golfer, right? And then like the story is the alligator or whatever ate his hand, right?
And
so he's always looking for it.
the gator actor is a resident of Colorado, back from where I'm from.
What?
Yeah,
What?
he's a Colorado resident. So
What do you mean,
in
like dude in a
Alamosa.
suit? Dude in a gator suit?
No, he's like he actually.
You mean the gator's like a famous gator, like in real life? Oh,
Yeah. His name's Morris, apparently. So
dang. I did not know that. Sydney Sweeney, she's like in all the movies now. She's like a modern movie star. Let's see. I don't gotta name her credits, do I? I mean, she was technically in Madam Web, and she doesn't care that it was a flop. She said she's also in some crazy immaculate horror movie or something, and
it looks good.
like obviously she's a breakout star from Euphoria or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I bring it up because she's gonna do a Barbarella. Barbarella is like a space odyssey movie that Jane Fonda was in, and it kind of makes sense. Like insert Sydney Sweeney in the remake because she's kind of having that level of fame. Like people are like ogling fascinated at Sydney Sweeney, and the same thing. Like they fawned over Jane Fonda. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. But tonight everybody's gonna be ogling over Bridget Nielsen. It's freaking Red Sonja. I kind of hobbled this together from IMDb. It was like the best description. Because I don't like these long-winded like movie descriptions that don't make a lot of sense. Anyway, but IMDb says the fearless warrior Red Sonja sets out to avenge her family's murder and rid her kingdom from the tyrannical rule of evil Queen Gedrin. And then I added, joined by brave warrior Calidor, naive Prince Tarn, and his faithful bumbling guardian Falcon. So let's back it up. Bridget Nielsen. I don't know. Well, Jordan's going to throw down some trivia, so I'll just say, like, she's a model. She's, like, one of the main villains in Beverly Hills Cop 2. Are you going to talk about her affairs? Are those in your
I was
Savage
not.
Stats?
No.
All right. So I'll hold
Spill
off.
the tea.
Well, I don't know if it's too early to drop. I mean, I was just going to say, like, her iconic movies are probably this one and Beverly Hills Cop 2. But then the cast includes Sandal Bergman, who played the evil queen, as Valeria in the Conan the Barbarian movies, which is like Conan's queen. So it's kind of interesting shift. She's also she. So she played two heroes in other fantasy movies, but then is the villain in this one. I already mentioned that Paul J. Smith was Bluto in the Popeye movie. So there's a Popeye reference at the beginning. If you're following along with us for the whole ride, Ernie Reyes Jr. So he plays the little prince in this, but he's like a mixed martial arts dude, so he does some martial arts as the kid prince in this movie, but then you probably know him from like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2. How about Surf Ninjas? I like him from this. There's this old Disney channel, like before Disney Plus, when Disney just had a channel on cable TV. He's in a karate show called Secret Bodyguard, right? Or like, what was the deal with that? Was he protecting the president's daughter? I don't know. No, or just the most popular girl at school hired him as a bodyguard, something like that. I just remember like a fight breaks out at the high school party or something like that. Yeah, that's a good show though. They could easily remake that for Disney Plus. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be Ernie now. He's like, dang, is he in his 50s or 60s? Somewhere in there. Shout out to my friend Rennie, because Rennie, well, they say that Ernie Reyes looks like Rennie, or Rennie looks like Ernie Reyes. I don't know if I should like really tease my friend, but and Rennie, is from Southern Cal. Well, Rennie's originally from Jersey, but he's my buddy. But I met him in film school when I was working at a sunglass store. He managed one of my first gigs, and when I got to sunny California to go to film school, was just selling sunglasses. But they would always confuse my friend for Ernie Reyes. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's how that went down. That's like so like, why would I even share that? I mean, who cares? People don't know my friend. You know what I mean? I'm just like, hey, I had a friend that looks like Ernie Reyes Jr. But I know he listens. He's one of our listeners, so he'll probably get a gag out of the fact that I remembered and brought it up.
Shout out to you, friend.
I mean, if you want the dirt, Bridget Nielsen was briefly married to Sly Stallone. At the same time, working on Beverly Hills Cop 2, she had an affair with the director Tony Scott. There's also a rumor that she had a director with Arnold on Red Sonja, that they hooked up in the movie. She's a model, right? So she's a model. Somebody saw her on the cover of a magazine, stuck her in Red Sonja. In 1989, she was actually modeling as She-Hulk, because they were trying to raise money for like a She-Hulk movie back then. She pops up in a reality show, Flavor Flav, hanging out with the rapper Flavor Flav. She credits him as saving her from like a bad asthma attack. So she has like this legendary whirlwind romances with all her co-stars, and like I said, briefly married to Sly Stallone himself. She has like a Guinness Book of World Record for being like one of the tallest working female actors. And she actually had a kid in her 50s. She's like 54. Her like fifth kid. Anyway, it's all random trivia about the legend of Bridget Nielsen, whose hair is blonde, by the way.
It ain't red.
She's not a true redhead. So yeah, that's movie magic right there. They dyed her hair. Everything in this movie is red too, which was really funny. It's like they picked a theme and they stuck with it. Everybody is red. like her allies show up, they all have some red, so they're gonna be her allies. Only the bad guys are like muted colors, right?
Right. Love that.
Anyway,
some added stats. That was pretty good, by the way.
I don't know I didn't know where to bring it up.
No,
early.
And
I
always
jazzed by it. And I was like, hey, you know who she hooked up with?
I know, I do love the tea. I've got a few. We don't need to go too much into it, but Arnold had signed up for this thinking it was more of like a glorified cameo. As a favor to the producer, but much to his surprise, after being on set for 4 weeks, which was 3 longer than what he expected.
How about later when they find out they're marketing the whole movie around him?
Right?
Well, and like,
I know. Well, and that's kind of like, this is one of the scenarios where I'm glad I didn't like read any statistics about the movie until after I had watched it, because I do think I would have come at it with some different bias. But yeah, so after he had been on set like 3 weeks longer than he expected, and he watched a rough cut of the movie, he realized it was pretty much a co-star role, because he's in it throughout the whole movie, due to like the crafty angles and multiple cameras. And then this led to Arnold terminating a 10-year contract with the producer, apparently. So
no less the producer, Dino De Laurentiis of De Laurentiis Group, who may have, I think he might have been one of the producers that discovered Arnold, but he definitely, is the company producing like the other Conans.
Right.
And, well, they had a profound working relationship until this moment. But
you can tell how Arnold feels about the film based off of kind of the facts and like the kind of hubbub around the movie, because he himself kind of talks a little negatively about it. Like, he must have just not had a good experience probably for being there longer than he expected. Imagine this as being a cameo, especially around the Conan times. And there's a lot of talk too about like how this is like a Conan without the price tag situation. But yeah, he talked pretty negative.
Yeah, this is like this is kind of known in the fandom world as like the unofficial third Conan movie. Yeah.
Well, they even, go as far as suggesting like the name Calidor is like really similar to like how like certain fantasy or like folklore will like it will change based off of area and demographics. So a lot of people say that this is like Conan, but just going by, one of his traveler names.
So but I mean, it's in Hyboria, which is the fake like kingdom or continent that the guy who Robert E. Howard, the guy who made Conan, like created this whole other world, that can exist somewhere in our world but isn't necessarily there. And so Red Sonja takes place like simultaneously as the same time as Conan, right? And
Right.
And I think they probably team up in the comics and some of the stories for sure.
Yes.
But Calidor to me seems like Conan's cousin, because it's still like there's one line in the movie that's something about like, first I'm gonna conquer you, then I can conquer your heart, or something like that. And like clearly it's a nod to a Conan-esque line, right? So like most Conan line in the movie, but Calidor does not have as much personality as Conan. So
Right.
he wasn't fully flexing
his
acting muscles. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a difference,
He definitely did all of his own stunts though, which is pretty cool. And
I was worried if I showed you this and you're like, is that what a Conan Barbarian movie is like? Then I don't want to watch Conan, because I definitely see them as like different performances,
I must say that you probably did it right by starting with this first. But we'll talk about more of that when we get to the ratings.
Okay.
We already touched a little bit on this. Dino De Laurentiis almost took like a full year to find which actress he was going to use that was going to be as like Amazonian enough to play the title character, meaning like he needed to find an extra tall woman.
Where do you essentially get the female Conan?
Right.
like where do you find the counterpart?
And I'm not sure how true this is, but this says that it's the first feature-length theatrical film based on a Marvel character. That can't be right.
Yeah, because Punisher 1989 doesn't show up until 4 years later with Dolph Lundgren, so
it's kind of cool.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought Bridget Nelson also hooked up with Dolph Lundgren, but I don't know.
Wow,
I mean, she's
dipping her head in the company.
I don't know, but they will star together in Rocky IV. Like she plays the wife of his character Val Drago, but what is her name? Like Bridget Drago? I don't know her character's. I don't know her character's name, but I don't know. I don't know if they hooked up. I mean, I'm just imagining that. Why not? I mean, look at her list of accolades. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Had some serious romances here in show business, anyway. And I'm not making. First of all, I'm not casting any stones or making any judgments. I should probably make that clear. I love Bridget Nielsen.
Celebration, 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we?
I think we're on to.
Oh, are we wrapping up your savage stats?
That's it. Yeah, that's wrapped.
All right. So we'll be back after a couple messages with our little podcast here. Let's see what's going on in the world of messages. We'll be right back after these messages. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Tonight we're brought to you by ZocDoc. You can download the ZocDoc app for free by going to ZocDoc.com/spoiler. Are you that one friend in the friend group that loves to treat yourself? It's okay. Honestly, we all do. You can get a pedicure and opt for that extra 10-minute foot massage with that green tea infused lotion. Or you always go in and buy double at a sale because it's actually like saving money. Well, if you treat yourself with those top options with everything in life, why settle when finding a doctor? It is your health, after all. Enter ZocDoc, the place where you can find and book tens of thousands of top-tier doctors, all with verified patient reviews. So don't settle. Go for the best and find the right doctor for you. With ZocDoc, you've got more options than you know. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. Once you find the doc you want, you can book them immediately. No more waiting awkwardly on hold with a receptionist. And these docs all have verified reviews from actual real patients. We're talking about booking appointments with tens of thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed, credible doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for the ones that take your insurance, are located near you, and treat basically any condition you're searching for. The typical wait time to see a doctor booked on ZocDoc is between 24 to 72 hours. That's it. You can even score same-day appointments. I have used the app. They've sponsored us before. We have been using the app for maybe about a year and a half now. I use it. I think you should use it. It's actually, of this type of app, it's pretty darn easy to use. And you don't have to guess what that dot is on the back of your neck, you know? If you're breaking out with strange spots, they can help you figure it out. Telling you what, man. Or why am I so tired? Why am I so freaking tired? Anyway, just go to ZocDoc.com/spoiler, download the ZocDoc app for free, and find a book that top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/spoiler, ZocDoc.com/spoiler. And now I think Jordan is going to talk to you about cat litter.
Yeah, tonight's episode is also brought to you by Pretty Litter. When my cat's healthy, he's happy, and that makes me happy. But since I'm not a mind reader, I don't always know when he's unwell. Helping me keep tabs on my cat's health is just one reason I use Pretty Litter. Pretty Litter's ultra-absorbent crystals trap odor instantly. No more cat bathroom smell. Not only is it not fragrant like other litters on the market, it's super absorbent crystals. It eliminates the cat box smell, and it makes it super easy to scoop. Pretty Litter's super light crystal base also minimizes mess and dust. Plus, the crystals last up to a month, which means less scooping and fewer trips to the garbage can. Here's the coolest thing about Pretty Litter. It changes colors to help monitor early signs of potential illness in my cat, including urinary tract infections and kidney issues. Frankenstein only has 3 legs. He's missing one in the back, so his health is always a concern. I love the peace of mind that I get with Pretty Litter with the color changing indicators. And Pretty Litter ships free right to my door in a small, lightweight bag. I never run out of it, and I don't have a huge container of litter taking up space and stinking up my place. Pretty Litter helps keep tabs on my cat's health and keeps odors down. You and your cat are going to love Pretty Litter as much as we do. Go to prettylitter.com/binge-watch and use code binge-watch to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/binge-watch, code binge-watch to save 20%. prettylitter.com/binge-watch, code binge-watch.
Now back to the podcast already in progress to talk about our favorite bits from the fantasy movie Red Sonja, 1985. Bridget Nielsen, Big Arnold. You could almost make a joke that Ernie Reyes Jr. is Little Arnold.
He's so cute.
I mean, he's fighting his way through kung fu chopping, trying to beat an evil queen that destroyed his kingdom. I'm giving away too much of the movie already.
I know. If I could only guess what your rating's going to be for it, but I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, maybe you'll keep me on my toes. Starting off the bits, there's a couple of scenes that, I mean, I liked a lot of the scenes, so I'll start with that. I love.
It's only 90 minutes, so you like 2/3 of the movie, or the whole. You know what I mean? Like
the whole thing.
Every other scene.
I thought the room where they were holding the talisman is pretty cool.
You mean the well-lit candle room where one of the characters even points out, hey, there's too many fucking candles in here.
There's a lot of candles in here.
Queen, there's too much light in this room. Dang.
It's that room. That's the room. Yeah. Thought that was pretty cool. But I also loved the machine. It's like a metal water dragon. Essentially, you've got Prince Tarn and you have...
Oh, yeah. It's like a booby trap. You remove the pearl and the metal dragon attacks you. Yeah. The water fight is like the best stunt in the whole movie. Yeah.
It's so great. Right. Because you have the queen who is, she's got people who can do magic and all sorts of things. And I think that that's like one of the creatures that they have to stop them from getting to their... finishing their quest to get there.
Here's
But
the
yeah,
thing, though. The water fight with the monster is almost a bigger fight than the conclusion of the movie, which might
well,
be
it
a
is.
problem
It
for
is.
some viewers, right?
And I
Yeah.
literally noted that. I'm like, okay, it's a little drawn out. Like, it honestly does take like actual more time than a lot of the other fights,
Mhm.
but it's pretty cool. Like, you have the metal dragon like moving through the water. It's trying to attack Sonia.
All the
His,
characters are wrestling with it. Yeah, it
they're all
requires everybody's
wrestling.
assistance to try
Yeah,
to get rid of it. Yeah.
you've got bad dives into the
And then
water.
it's difficult to kill because he's like, I don't know if this is an animal or just a mechanism. Like, this
Yeah,
sucks. Like,
yeah.
he's
And
like,
then
my sword's not doing anything.
they're
Like,
able to blind it by like popping out, the stone eyes or the
sure.
eyes or
Yeah.
whatever. And then it just goes into this like massive death roll.
I
And
guess
it
it's
just
fair
looks
enough to
really
point out,
cool.
like, this scene, spoiler alert, they get rid of the mechanical monster. It drowns, if it can drown. I don't know. Or maybe it's just powered by an engine or evil. Hard to say what powers it. Greed, actually, maybe, because the little prince wants to restart his kingdom by buying an army with the pearl from
With
its
the
mouth.
pearl.
But once you clutch that pearl, it's like sets the monster off.
Well,
However, this is the first scene I saw in the movie, and I'm like, what is this? What is this movie? What is happening here? And then I recognized Arnold, obviously, and
right.
then had to learn who everybody else was, But if you're
Well,
watching it when you're like 8 years old, it's freaking
it's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Well, Queen Gedrin mentions it to one of her like henchmen. His name's Eichel, to essentially try to stop them, right? Like they push them into this like watering
By leaving up only
hole.
one bridge, which is made out of the skeleton of what looks to be a similar creature.
Yeah.
Anyway, similar
Well,
horn creature skeleton bridge.
and Eichel makes some sort of comment like they make good fish food, but of course Queen, Gedrin really wants to make sure that like Sonia is spared because she obviously has an infatuation with Sonia. One of my last bits is just I like Prince Tarn in general. I love that he starts off being this like really, selfish brat. He's even using, his fool to essentially speak to Sonia. He mentions even like he's gonna need a chef in his kingdom. And he realizes, on this quest that he obviously needs help, and she teaches him a little bit of, sword fighting.
There's also the great relationship with his manservant, because it would
which
suggest
I
that
love.
Falcon is just like one of his advisors or teachers that's going to teach him how to rule his kingdom as he gets older. And then you kind of wonder, like, it's not clear if we know that the evil queen used her weather-changing weapon or whatever, the orb of destructive power. That's really like kind of manipulates weather to knock his city state down. Like, because obviously we could say it's medieval times, every city's like its own country, but then it's not clear if his parents were the king and queen and they got killed, or if he's a child ruler whose parents had died and he just doesn't know how to run a city, and all the advisors get killed and the only advisor that's left is Falcon. However, Falcon has a bone club made out of some
I love the bone club.
But then at one point, he's been saving a smaller bone to give to the
to
prince,
give him
to have his own little club or whatever. Yeah,
which is such a cool scene too, because he's literally faced with Icor, who's like the henchman to Queen Gedrin, and he like, he just whips out all of his taekwondo. He's like literally with his bone club, just like it just was great. And I love that he becomes a little bit more of like this selfless hero. Like he honestly does a majority of it outside of Sonia. Like he's literally like he's sneaking in, he gets underneath the gate at the very end, he sneaks underneath again to get another gate open. He ends up becoming, this kind of little hero. And
yeah. So the queen has an advisor whose name is Loki, spelled backwards.
Oh, is that what it is?
But he's a short guy, so it's like they kind of like, I mean, obviously production design or the DP or the director, like they obviously planned that, like, oh, let's make her henchman a short dude, and then he's gonna end up dueling the prince. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, he's a henchman, so he thinks like, oh, if I can win anybody in a sword fight, I bet you I can beat the prince. You know what I mean? Because he's like 11 or whatever, 9, whatever he is. But he can't, and then he gets crushed to death by a sliding door or something.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, but you wonder what the price tag was, because it's a failure at the box office. Obviously, it's a hidden gem to discover on freaking consumer, tapes or whatever, VHSs, then DVDs, then cable television, whatever. They've been trying to reboot the damn thing forever because the character's such a strong mythos or whatever, but they haven't been able to. But I just wonder, like, because Calidor does dip out at certain times of the movie, like,
Right.
so if you're hoping that it's like the third Conan movie, but then he's not there that much, I mean, it's like he's gone for, I don't know, half an hour. Like, he's gone for like most of the third act. He's there for that water fight with the one monster. Like, he shows up in time to deck it out with the water monster, but then he doesn't help them in the city fight with that other random warlord that she encounters in the beginning.
Well,
There's one
doesn't
in the
he?
woods.
Yeah, he pops up because he pops up and he's like, Sonia, I'm here to help. And then she ends up defeating him. But
Yeah.
you're right. He does pop in and out throughout the movie. You know,
One thing I wrote down that I thought was like, so they have like a magic mirror they want to spy on where Red Sonja and her allies are because they know they're on their way to the evil city, but where are they? Also, how funny is it like that it's also a stereotype like, oh, we're gonna go to the land of eternal darkness. All right. you know what I mean? Cool. That's where she is. And then at first the magic mirror is showing like a belly dancer.
Yes.
So I'm like, whose thoughts is it? It's the queen wants to see.
No, it's the magician.
Or it's the wizard. Is it the
Yes, the
sleazy horny
wizard.
wizard? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like so the evil queen has a sorcerer guy who works with like his little potions off to the side of her throne. And so like she commands him to do certain things. So then they have like a magic mirror thing and he's supposed to spy on Red Sonja, but at first it's like a belly dancer, right?
Yeah.
And
It's like the
whoops,
broadcast.
he's like, I tuned into the wrong channel. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was funny. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's a great joke, but you can almost miss that part if you're not paying attention, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The duel of Red Sonja and Calidor is pretty good. So that's like, it's like obviously it's a metaphor for hooking up or whatever. And the prince is confused and he's asking the guy something like, neither of them wants to win, or you know what I mean? Or he's like, why are they trying so hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, like, because of the rating of the movie, it's like, oh yeah, we're not going to get a real sex scene, but obviously the sword fighting between them is obviously metaphors, right? So yeah, so the duel of the heroes, the monster fight, and the freaking wizard making a mistake with his little magic mirror, some of the best parts. I feel like, I mean, it's so hard to know, like, because like of the three movies, Conan the Barbarian, then Conan the Destroyer, and Red Sonja and Conan the Destroyer, which is Conan 2, like played a lot on television. And of those three, the movie that I've gone back to most now in the last 5 years is Conan the Destroyer. However, I feel like some story in Red Sonja is a little bit stronger than in the Conan movies. The way to watch the original Conan is to find the director's cut. And John Milius is a great filmmaker, and there's actually a feature-length documentary about bringing Conan to the screen. So it's like there's all this other stuff besides the movies that you know what I mean, right, to get the movies made, and then to arrive at like Red Sonja. And we don't have a third Conan, so it kind of just fits in the spot of like it's set in the same time period, it's the same group of people, it has the same like production design style. Or it's not exactly medieval, like it's not England, it's not Vikings. There's like Asian influences and Persian influences in the designs of the costumes and the armor. And so it's all kind of mixed together. What was my point? Yeah, so I guess over time my appreciation for the movies changes, which will affect my ratings of this movie. There we go. That was my point. Yeah.
Does this mean we're at ratings?
Yeah, and I thought about like trying to come up with some fantasy movie style ratings to intersplice with binge now, binge later, or binge never, which means watch it now, get to it eventually, or don't ever watch this thing. But I couldn't think of one. I couldn't be like unicorn now, no unicorns, two fairies. You know what I mean? I couldn't think of like I couldn't think of anything. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I forgive you. So the way that we rate the movies is binge now, obviously. Binge right now, add it to the top of your list, watch it today. Get it. Yeah, get it is right. Or binge later, which is added to the list, but get around to it whenever you got some time, not super urgent. And then binge never is you literally cannot get your time back. For me, for this movie, this was a binge now. I always love a good female hero. It's a movie about vengeance. She's just trying to get back, essentially. And I just thought it was great, So what about you?
Is it clear that her ghost guide is like her mother or her dead mother?
I did not
Yeah,
think about
because she
that.
has like a spiritual guide. I think it's her dead parents or dead
Huh.
mom or dead older sister. I don't remember how many sisters she has. Because actually, in this, her sister is a temple guard who dies, who's
Right.
guarding the orb before the evil queen steals it. But then she's also guided to the sword, which is very much like a Conan type. She's guided to like the sword that she needs. And the ghost tells her, get up get up after a huge trauma. But anyway, get up and get going on your revenge trip or whatever. Yeah, I just maybe I was distracted when I watched it because I'm veering towards binge later, even though my whole life I've celebrated this movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I
Totally.
mean? But I'm being drawn to Conan Part 2, the Conan the Destroyer, for the most complete story of the three. Like as far as magic, swords, sandals, continuity of characters, and sense of humor. Although I didn't realize this one also had a sense of humor. I don't remember any of the jokes. Maybe it was like above me or whatever, and I was just paying attention to the fighting and the monsters. But you can't go wrong. I mean, you're gonna have a fun time. These movies, I heard they were gonna remake Neverending Story. I don't know if you've ever told our audience that, but they're supposedly adapting that to a show or another movie or something. Some of these are sacred things that you can't touch. And Red Sonja, Robert Rodriguez was gonna do it, in 2009 or something. They still haven't done it. They did remake Conan in 2011 with Jason Momoa, but it's it feels like insert barbarian here, kind of
yeah.
It doesn't feel like Conan. It just feels like another adventurer in Conan's world.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, but dang it, it has a great villain though. There's a girl who plays the witch she was actually the best part of the damn movie. What is her name? Holy crap. She's in a Robert Rodriguez movie where she is fighting zombies with no leg. She gets a machine gun. What is this? Her name is escaping me, folks. I don't know. She's also in Jawbreakers, which is a kind of a dramedy about these girls. Do they commit murder in there? Or they're either trying to cover up a murder or they commit murders. I can't remember. Rose McGowan. That took a while, folks. I'm sorry. Her name was I saw the letter R, but I couldn't think of. So she would make an amazing Red Sonja, or if they took her villain from the new Conan and stuck it into Red Sonja, she'd be a strong Queen Gedrin. She plays some kind of witch in the Conan remake, and she's the standout from the remake. You know what I mean? She's the thing that seems the most unique. Or the fact that they had Conan's father in the remake too, played by the guy who plays Hellboy. What's his name? Come on. Dang. What?
Are you talking about the Hellboy that we had recently watched?
Yeah.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman. Sorry. Anyway, Perlman, man, shows up as playing Conan's father in the remake. I mean, even though I said a binge later, I could say I pretty much watch everything that comes down the pipe that has magic swords and monsters.
Totally.
You know
Totally.
what I mean? It's obviously so when rating them, give it with a grain of salt, because obviously it's I'm gonna watch them. Fan service. What are the fans up to? I don't know. I didn't do my research. I didn't bring any fan comments from anywhere.
Leave them for us.
What?
Go comment.
Wait, what?
Comment somewhere. Yeah, go comment somewhere. Do it on our YouTube. Do it on the
There
TikTok,
are comments too.
Wherever.
I just did not prepare one to review. So I'm sorry. Oh well, I can say that there seems to be an outstanding. It looks like we're getting more positive feedback for the Crow. They're on board for the new Crow as opposed to being against the new Crow. Which I wasn't going to bring that up, but because I haven't written down anything else, I'll bring up the fact that there was some support of the new Crow. Probably because, unfortunately, Brandon Lee's dead, and people are forgetting him and forgetting the Crow. I would say go watch the Crow. Like, you know what I mean? If anything's a binge now, go watch the 90s Crow with Brandon Lee. I saw an outtake of him in an interview,
Mhm.
and it's like one of those eerily timed clips. It's like, one of his last interviews before the accident on set, and he's like, how many sunsets are you gonna see? He's like, how many times you can think about that ice cream trip that you took with your dad? Or, you know what I mean? Like, he's like recounting how there's a limited recall on certain memories, and how many times will you be able to enjoy these things in your life, even sitting down memory lane type stuff. And I was like, oh dang. And then, but of course the caption on Instagram is like, recorded, days before the tragic accident.
Totally.
Just get your emotions up on the clip, get those comments on the clip and all that. So anyway, yeah, it's fantasy movie month. We're gonna keep doing fantasy type stuff. Changing it up. Usually we get to it later in the summer, but we have a killer horror movie list to get through this year with Summer Slash.
Yeah, we do.
So, we're gonna be a little bit chasing unicorns for the next few weeks. We're gonna watch this movie called 47 Ronin next. Keanu Reeves in a samurai movie. That's right. John Wick transported back in time to fight some demons in Japan. Obviously a story that's definitely not taken from any realistic headlines. That's why it fits into fantasy movie month. 47 Ronin. It was a medieval romance written in Japan about a group of loyal samurais whose lord is killed, and then they take revenge, and then they commit seppuku, which is like the sacrificial death, where they are allowed to die with their honor. And somebody decided, hey, you know what would make the story better? Keanu Reeves and some demon magic. You know what I mean? So that's the version we're watching and reviewing for next week is 47 Ronin. Keanu Reeves plays, what's his name? Kai. Yeah, he's a very like insert Smith name. You know what I mean? Like what would you call a Westerner inside of an Asian movie? It would be like Kai or something like that. Anyway, the monsters are great. That's what I can say. We're gonna get our monster on. They have a giant
Don't spoil too much.
Oh dang! I'm dropping spoilers for the next movie.
Popping off. We haven't even watched it yet.
Look, Red Sonja is cool. Bridget Nielsen.
I loved it.
She was deserved to be plucked off that magazine and put into the movie. And
she was. She did.
And you might not ever get to Conan 3, so you might as well enjoy Red Sonja. And if you want to see little Ernie Reyes Jr., who may or may not look like a friend that I have in real life, go watch Red Sonja. Yeah. We'll be back next week with freaking 47 Ronin, which actually should be a super hyped up show.
I'm excited already.
I was ready to podcast about it right now. Jordan's like, pump the brakes.
Okay.
She's like, come on, man.
My stats are gonna be weak.
Hey, when you were little, did you ever get magic swords? Like, did you ever get toy swords instead of like tiaras and wands? Did you ever like go buy the boy toys or like
Yeah, I wasn't a girl toy person just because we didn't really do toys, but I had an older brother. And
whoa, we got to talk about this. They're like, we only had one toy in our house.
I was a backyard kid. Yeah.
Oh, outdoors kids.
Yeah.
Come home when the street lights come on, that kind of thing. Like, we'll see you.
Yeah, once you hear the whistle, you better start sprinting home or else there'll be trouble. Yeah, I was a backyard kid. But my brother, you always want to be like your older sibling, I feel like, when you're that young. And so I just wanted to like play with his football, or like I would literally roller skate in his skates. But yes, of course, sword fight when you'd get the long at Christmas when your mom would like go through a roll of wrapping paper and you'd have the really long tube and then you'd sword fight with
Oh,
each
then what are you
other.
gonna do with the tube? Yeah, it's a lightsaber or something.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, you gotta.
You ever build cardboard spaceships? Did you climb into big boxes and turn them into like spaceships or anything?
Probably a castle,
Yeah.
Yeah. Best. I was a big make-believe person,
Backyard kid.
Yeah.
Because it's better than being a latchkey kid locked up in an apartment all day. Well, actually, kids that live in apartments, they just like do prank calls and do ghost knocking or whatever. Like they knock on the neighbor's door and run away. I mean, what are you gonna do? Ride the laundry chute all day? Like if you're living on the 11th floor, you just ride the laundry down to the scary basement all day.
Yeah, you run in the stairwell a bunch,
Yeah. I mean, if you're lucky, you get to be like the dude in Home Alone 2 where he gets checked into a hotel by himself at 12 with like his dad's credit card, and
it would be so nice.
To Home Alone. Actually, like those brief moments in adulthood where you get to like spark something from your childhood where you get to like, for the next 3 days, don't call me. You can't get a hold of me. I'm not paying bills for like I'm gone for 3 days in my own little world. Leave me alone.
I literally had a dream about something like that last night where like my dream was that like Pat took this wrong turn and he was supposed to drop me off and I was really
little
upset.
trivia for those that don't know. She's dating a dude.
That's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
But the whole
like
dream
I don't remember her talking about Pat before. Who's Pat?
The dream, the context of the dream was that I was so upset that I was robbed of like an hour and a half of my time.
Yeah.
Like alone time.
Forget it. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. Dreams.
Somebody write in and dissect that dream for us.
Yeah, seriously. I want to know.